Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. For more than 150 years, ours has been a congregation of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes for our world are welcome here. Our doors are closed because our hearts are open, living our values of care and compassion. Please stay connected every Sunday through services and online coffee hour, book groups, chalice circles for monthly reflection. Kids and families can pick up spirit kits each month for home. If you're new to our congregation during this time, a special welcome to you. We have virtual visitor chats and an online visitor form to learn about upcoming new member or newcomer classes. You can contact Melissa Egler or call the office or check out our website to find out more. And join us every Wednesday night for our forums. This Wednesday will be a discussion based on Parker Palmer's book, Healing the Heart of Democracy, as well as music from Carrie Newcomer in videos that they have posted around democracy and community. We'll hold space this Wednesday night in the midst of election results certainly still coming in. We'll hold space to be in community together. This Wednesday night, 6:30, join us online. And gratitude to all those who made this year's annual auction a success, the many donors, the bidders, and the team who pulled all the details together. An update will be shared in the e-news on what we raised for the church, as well as Project Legacy and any follow-up details you need. Thank you for your generosity. And today, as we honor All Souls Sunday in our annual tradition, we invite you to find a candle to light later in the service as we're lighting candles on our altar here. And after the service, the memorial garden here at church will be open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., where you can honor the memory and the legacy of ancestors. Electric candles will be placed for you to be able to light and place around and just come to enjoy that space in this fall weather. We invite you to come for a quiet time of remembrance anytime 10 to 5 this afternoon. And today's offering is for the Jeremiah program of Rochester, providing support for mothers and children in poverty with affordable housing, education assistance, and life skill training. You can give at uurochmn.org/give. Thank you for your generosity. And finally, in the words of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together.
This is the UU Church. This is the church of the flaming chalice. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the loving heart, where friends come together and share. There we go.
Read this first Sunday of November, we draw upon old traditions to honor all souls. We celebrate our shared history in story and song. We acknowledge the lives of those who have touched our lives, no matter how far in the past that connection may have been, and we especially honor those recently departed. Each of our stories come from ancestors, some on the same land for generations, others moved across the world. Some moved against their will, others moved through struggle in search of new lives. Some from so long ago they are only names on a genealogical chart. Others, like my grandparents, are held close in our hearts as tender memories. Time and distance, personal circumstances, the struggles to create a new life in a new country often became insurmountable obstacles to maintaining far distant familial ties. But both my grandparents were avid letter writers. They wrote their parents and siblings, and as that generation passed, they assumed the role of attentive aunt and uncle, writing their nieces and nephews. By the early 1970s, those Swiss nieces and nephews began visiting their Uncle Willie, my grandfather, the last of his generation. Those visits, which continue to today, strengthen connections that have been in place 100 years. As we celebrate All Souls, I will light a candle for my cousin Bruno, an intrepid traveler who visited us often and who was always a gracious host when we went to Switzerland. He was also a good yodeler. The weight of responsibility to maintain these tenuous family connections through distance, which have been woven throughout our lives for decades, now passes to new generation. The poem Immortality by Leslie Takahashi reaffirms this connecting purpose. In the daily weave of our lives, those who have died are still strong guiding threads. Theirs is the golden glimmer, or perhaps the brilliant red, or the melancholy blue. Still, they are part of the whole cloth of our lives. They are the ancestors, the goers before. Through this, we know immortality. In the hour-to-hour rush of our daily lives, they travel with us through something they taught us, which is now ours to do, through something they loved, which is now ours to carry out, through something we shared, which is now ours alone, and yet not. In the minute-to-minute grasp of where we are, we remember the joys our departed gave us, which opened us to hope, the sorrows we knew together, which taught us strength, the life shared, which is now ours to steward. Through this, we know immortality. In the second-to-second pulse of life, we sense the spirit of those we have loved and lost. This presence is too shy for naming, too amorphous for full knowing, and yet as real as the days we shared. They are more than memory, they are more than remembered. They are memory itself. For what we love lives on in the way our beloved dead accompany us through our life. Their words and wisdom our guide, their humor our relief, their restless concern for the world our charge. Through this, we know immortality.
It can be challenging for kids and really for adults to wrap our heads around what happens to people when they're no longer physically with us on this earth. I hope today's story is a way to show how eternal life is really a possibility when people's stories live on inside of us. The Remember Balloons, written by Jesse Oliveros, illustrated by Dana Wolfcote. I have lots and lots of balloons, way more than my little brother. This one's my favorite, I tell him, pointing to the balloon filled with my last birthday party. When I look at it, I can see the pony again, and I can still taste the chocolate frosting. Mom and Dad have more balloons than I do. Grandpa has lived so long, he has more balloons than all of us together. And the stories he has inside those balloons, well, they're better than ponies and chocolate frosting. What's in your yellow balloon? I ask him. Grandpa's eyes light up. We'd just come back from picking blackberries along the muddy banks of the creek. Our berry-splattered faces gave Aunt Nell's cow such a fright, she didn't make milk for days. What about that blue one, Grandpa? This is the time I lost my favorite dog, Jack, Grandpa chuckles. I found him chasing butterflies next to the schoolhouse. Only Jack could get me to school on a Saturday. And that one? I pointed to a purple balloon above his head. Grandpa looks up and smiles, his face alive with remembering. That's the day I married your grandma in the little church on Cedar Lane. We danced that night under the stars, and oh, how I loved her. I don't have to ask him about the silver balloon, because I have that one too. That was the day we stood on the dock till the sun went down, feeling tug after tug on our lines. Grandpa and I must have caught 1,000 fish. Grandpa ruffles my hair like he always does. That's one of my favorite balloons. Mine too, I say. But Grandpa has been having some problems with his balloons lately. One will get caught in a tree, and he'll tell me the same story over and over again. Let me tell you about the Christmas I went to Aunt Nell's farm, Grandpa says, even though he just finished telling me about it. Other times, a balloon will float right out of his hand, and he won't even know it. It's okay, Grandpa, I yell as I run after it. Every time I almost reach it, but it slips away. Something's wrong with Grandpa, I tell my parents. He can't hold his balloons anymore. Mom looks at me with sad eyes. That happens sometimes when people grow older. Grandpa's balloons start floating away faster and faster, running down streets and up hills. I watch the balloons grow smaller. He finally loses the silver one. I watch it float away until I can't see it anymore. Why did you let it go? I yell. That was our balloon. Then I sit on the sidewalk and cry. I feel Grandpa pat my back, but he doesn't ruffle my hair like he always did. Why are you crying, child? There's nothing to cry about. One day, I go to see him, and all his balloons are gone. Grandpa, I say, but he doesn't look at me. It'll be okay, Dad says. Look up. I have new balloons now. A yellow one filled with blackberries and a cow, a blue one filled with Grandpa and his favorite dog, and a purple one filled with a wedding day. See, Mom says, now they're yours to share. So I climb onto Grandpa's lap and begin telling him about my new balloons. So today I want you to do something for me. Think about what balloons you carry with you belong to you, and what balloons you carry with you that were passed on to you from somebody who came before. And The challenge is to continue to share those stories with others who will be here after we are all gone, because that is truly what it means to live forever.
Take a moment to pause. Take a moment to take a deep breath, the breath of life. Find your breath and center down. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Feel above you the sky and the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you here in this moment, this breath, right now. I invite you into this time of meditation and prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. Too many souls lost this year, any year. So many lost so unnecessarily. May our memory of those lost, those loved ones and strangers be one of active hope, living in ways that care for our neighbors, known and unknown, creating a world where death is more natural and less the impact of structures of oppression or neglect, greed or hatred, separation, death of the soul for children longing to be reunited with their parents at the border and beyond. People wondering about their own love and how it's validated or not. People wondering about access to health care and choice. May the dreams of all of those ancestors who worked so hard for marriage equality and reproductive choice, for support and inclusivity for all people, in a world for love for each other, for bodies and possibility, may we build a world that honors the dead by valuing the living and their legacies. We hold all those who suffer in mind, in body, in spirit. I invite you to bring the names into this sacred hour that you're holding in your own heart, in joy or in sorrow, in memory or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all those names and many others, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation come from Barbara Kingsolver. She writes, I have 2 American flags. Both were gifts. One was handmade out of colored paper by my younger child. It's a few stars shy of regulation, but nonetheless cherished. Each has its place in my home, so I can look up from time to time and remember that's mine. This flag. It protects and represents me only because of Ida B. Wells and Lucy Stone, Susan B. Anthony, and countless others who risked everything so that others could be full citizens. She says each of us who is female or non-white or without land would have been guaranteed in 1776 the same voting rights as a horse. We desperately need a new iconography of patriotism, she writes. Praise the red glare of candles held up in vigils everywhere by people praying and working for peace. Let me sing praise to the ballot box and the jury box. What could be a more honorable symbol of freedom than the suffragists' banner, the strikers' picket, the abolitionists' drinking gourd, the placards of humane protest from every decade? Give me liberty now, with signs of love and of life. Amen.
A reading from Deborah Gordon Cooper entitled Visitations. On Tuesday, in the produce aisle, choosing my oranges by feel and by their fragrance, I hear my father whistling in my ear. A Scottish lullaby. Everything else stops. There is a tenderness no border can contain, a web that may be glimpsed in certain unexpected plays of light or felt like a shoal across one's shoulders laid by unseen hands. There are sounds in other decibels the heart can hear when the wind is right and the mind has quieted its clicking. The border guards are sleeping in their stations. Spirits come and go. The wall between the living and the dead is yielding as a membrane, is as porous as a skin. Lay your palm against it, and you can hear their voices in your hand and in the place where your chest opens like a flower. They are not far away, no farther than the breath, and enter us as easily in pine and peonies, in oranges and rain.
Doom, 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 doom.
I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. You used to rock me in the cradle of your arms. You said you'd hold me till the pains of life were gone. You said you'd comfort me in times like these, and now I need you, and now I need you, and you are gone. So I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Since you've gone and left me, there's been so little beauty, but I know I saw it clearly through your eyes. Now the world outside is such a cold and bitter place. Here inside I have few things that will console. And when I try to hear your voice above the storms of life, then I remember that I was told. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I think on the things that made me feel so wonderful when I was young. I think on the things that made me laugh, made me dance, made me sing. I think on the things that made me grow into a being full of pride. Think on these things, for they are true. And I am sitting here wanting memories to teach I know a please, a thank you, and a smile will take me far. I know that I am you, and you are me, and we are one. I know that who I am is numbered in each grain of sand. I know that I know that I am again and again and again. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Yes, I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own
It started with one story about someone moving south and missing in their heart the fall colors up north. She really likes the red ones, they said, sharing with others at a tailgate coffee hour recently in the parking lot before it got too cold. She misses them, this person shared, one of you. So I gather up as many of the fall leaves, especially the red ones that I can, and I put them in a little box, find the right postage, and send her a little bit of fall from Minnesota. And that story, once shared, caught on, so that another person did the same for a loved one who had moved away and missed the fall colors of home here, packed up some leaves, and then another person gathered leaves and pressed them, remembering how she had done that with her daughter, because the story, the beauty, the love ripples on far from its source. Like the imprint that a leaf makes this time of year, leaves on the ground, leaves an imprint long after they blow away in the brisk fall winds. So it is with those who have died, those who have gone in many ways from us, how their imprint in the world, in our hearts, in our lives and ways of being finds a way to travel the distance, packaged in memory, finds a way to become the breath, the air, the beauty, weaving its way and mingling among the living long after they're gone. Not long ago, after an election that didn't really go the way of love and justice, most of us thought, a preacher started to list names of those we voted for. No matter who you voted for, she said. We voted because of Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Carrie Chapman Catt, Julia Ward Howe, Lucretia Mott, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells Barnett, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and so many other patriotic forebears who bore in their bodies and in their brilliant minds, their fiery, fearless souls, a vision for us long before our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents were even alive. She said, we voted because of Thurgood Marshall and John Lewis and Fannie Lou Hamer, Diane Nash, Yuri Kochiyama, James Reeb, and so many other patriotic forebears who struggled and died, some of them, for the right to vote, for universal, unimpeded suffrage. It can feel easy in these precarious days to just throw in the towel, to hunker down if you're able to, and shut out the world, certain in the belief that we are going or already have gone to hell in a handbasket for good reason. And with all the corruption and closed-door dealings, what good will it do to vote or to protest or to engage? What can we possibly do anymore? I often think of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes on my shelf in my office, staring at me, as I've shared before. reminding me with the very tenacity of her presence and being an ordained woman in the 1870s. The picture itself seems to say to me as I'm there thinking of what can I possibly say in these hard days, don't screw this up, Luke. Or maybe, she'd probably have better language than that. Maybe her presence is saying, keep tending the flame that I and others before me lit. Even when you think the oil is running out or gone, we lit it long ago, lighting it from those who came before us and before them and before them. It's yours now to tend the flame and keep it lit. There are so many more names, spoken and unspoken, of those we vote for and vote because of, those ancestors calling to us saying, you can't give up now. It will be hard. It has been hard, we know, but we keep going. We have to. We're voting this week, or you've already voted, voting for these names and others in our lives, voting, living, working, acting for ancestors of origin or choosing or of heart, for descendants of origin or choosing or of heart, for generations past and to come. We're taking the balloons, like in the story Amy shared, and we're taking the ballots, the air to make dreams fly right into our very bones, to breathe a new world into being. We're voting for justice and for equity. We're voting to continue the slow, hard work of eradicating cisgender, white, heteronormative patriarchy. It's a mouthful, and it's so large. And the trickle-down injustices from those systems that create most, if not all, of the messes we find ourselves in all the time. To remember so much of this has been bad for a long time, not just right now. And there is so much work to do far beyond Tuesday. We're voting, we're living, we're breathing the dreams of our ancestors. A young child responding to a member of our church, their grandparent, when she was joking about the child's age, as you sometimes do with children. Wait, are you turning 5 years old? When she was turning 7. No, Grandma, she said, life keeps moving forward. Life keeps moving forward, said the 7-year-old. And we are the movement. That child is the movement forward. We're not the only ones that are holding the balloons in our hands and the possibility of leaves taking flight across the miles to bless someone with beauty from their home. You are the embodiment. You are the breath and the air that fills those memories to keep them alive. You are the living memory of ancestors. You are the air that takes memories into flight. You are the beauty that lives in the leaves, as are your ancestors, right there with you. All the stories and the hopes and the dreams, every piece of color, of hope that takes shape and floats into the air or that is pressed into envelopes, caught in our hands, catching our breath, tied and knotted in our uncertain hearts. Those ancestors are border crossers, some quite literally, all of them blurring the lines of life and death and grief and hope and despair all the time, and their very presence right now. Sometimes you feel the chills right on your skin by their memory. Their presence is ours to carry forward. Their candles are ours to tend and keep the flame lit. Our stories are their stories to live. They're mingled together. Our votes to cast, our lights to keep lit. We have to light the candles for them. Now distanced in our homes, we keep lighting them just the same. because their light still shines, even as we are the ones who have to hold the flame. And so we sing for them, and we create for them. We carry on their work, we protect their work, we continue their work, and hold it as a sacred trust. Life keeps moving forward. Let's make that so. One vote, one word, one act, one day, one moment, one leaf and balloon and flame at a time. Each year, as we gather for All Souls, we remember all those that we are holding in our heart who have died in the last year and beyond. And we especially light candles and honor the sacred memory of those in our own congregation who have died. Today, I light candles for Don Layton, for Jasper Dowby, and for Joyce Rundle. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember them. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels chasing after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends that I'm coming too, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. If I get there before you do, coming for to carry me home, I'll cut a hole and pull you on through, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, carry me home. Well, the streets of heaven are paved with gold, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
A reading from Kathleen Horb. And do I die? How should I die? My atoms are the same that existed on the first day of the universe. My elements are identical with the makeup of the stars. I am one with all that is, and brief, like a comet's trail across the starry universal night. I do not die. My elements are scattered. New lights, new comets' trails will use them. There is, because of me, a new note in the song sung by the morning stars.
I invite you to take a deep breath and remember your ancestors, those in your family and beyond who you carry with you in your heart and who are with you still. In this reading that we always use in memorials, may you find their memory living in you. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, in the opening of buds, in the rebirth of spring, in the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, in the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joys we yearn to share. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Amen.